This is episode 46 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Lili Thompson. You may have seen her on YouTube to the tune of over 180,000 subs and all over Instagram with the same as she's documented her real estate investing journey over the last 3 years. Lili, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you and to get you on here to talk about this crazy journey over 3 years. Before those 3 years started, did you have an interest in real estate?
Not particularly. My dad was a real estate agent back when I was younger, when I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old. He was a real estate agent while he was also an active duty soldier in the military. And so I had a little bit of awareness of like, oh, we're gonna like he's taking me with him to go pick up a rent check, but I didn't like really know what that meant. And then he stopped doing that as I kind of got older, and I had a few mentors who I'm like, that person seems to be living a cool life, like, what's going on there? And they were like, oh yeah, I have rental property. Didn't know what that meant. Was focused on all my other stuff, but eventually, as I started to hear more about real estate, those little things in my past, I was like, oh, wait, hold on. There might be something here.
Yeah, I'm just going back to your basketball career. I mean, I think if you look at the scale of, we don't have to go on a full tangent about this, but it's important. Women's pay scale in pro sports versus male pro scale. Was it more important for you to say, like, listen, I need something that's going to be a long-term asset because the pay scale differential is insane?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely always had that awareness that, okay, even though I'm, playing close to the top of, the women's basketball world, that's a very different situation than playing close to the top of the men's basketball world financially. And so I was glad to get to go to great schools. I studied business. I went to business schools. And so I felt well prepared to, make a living for myself outside of basketball. But if I was going to be the number one draft pick in the NBA, I probably wouldn't have tried to be house hacking. I would have just, practiced basketball more. But definitely on the women's side, you have to be more aware of just like other ways to get it done.
Yeah. So where did you first hear about house hacking though? Like it's funny because a lot of people who got started are like, well, I bought a multi, I didn't know what I was doing and I lived in it. And then there was a term for it at some point. How did you come upon that? Was it just because, hey, this is cool, I can make money, learn how to be a landlord, that type of thing?
It was really through like the Bigger Pockets podcast, and I just started listening to episodes. Around this time, I was playing with the Harlem Globetrotters, which maybe you know about them or not, but it's really historical,
of course,
famous basketball team, right? And so we're traveling all over the world. I'm taking flights, I'm driving, which was a great opportunity to listen to podcasts and
yeah.
And so that's how I got into it, and that's how I came across the term house hacking. And one of my basketball coaches and kind of mentors, as I started having more conversations with him, he was like, oh yeah, I've done that. And he was doing it to the point of like kind of buying a house, living in it for 1 or 2 years, fixing it up as he goes, still having tenants and roommates in there, during his younger post-college years, paying the rent, and then selling it or keeping it as a rental and moving on and house hacking again. And so I kind of had the Bigger Pockets. I'm learning about this, but then I was like, oh wait, I actually know someone who has done this. And that's kind of what gave me the confidence, like really dive in.
Yeah, let's talk about wholesaling because wholesaling has a horrendous reputation, but I still advocate that there can be really, really good wholesalers. They're just harder to find because it's, in my opinion, an industry where people think it's going to be a lot easier than it is. So they do it the wrong way. What was your experience and how do you think you can help people in terms of like how you can be like an ethical wholesaler who, hey, look, we're looking for win-wins here?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely had that same perception. The first time one of my friends, he played with me on the Harlem Globetrotters, the first time he told me about wholesaling, I was like, that sounds illegal. And he was like, no, look it up, do your research. But I was super skeptical.
Yeah.
But as I looked into it, I kind of understood why some people had a negative perception and how some people were doing it right. And I actually started wholesaling on market. I was not sending out direct mail or cold calling. What I was doing, and again, this is at a different stage in the market than we're at now.
Yeah, right.
But
That's important. That's important.
yeah, And I don't want to ignore that fact, right? Because what was happening in 2020, 2021 is different than now. But I realized that there were a lot of distressed properties on market. There were a lot of cash only as is listed on Zillow, listed on Redfin. And what I would do is I would reach out to those agents and I would be completely honest. And I would say, hey, I do not have the cash in my bank account to do this, but I would like to help you wholesale this deal. It's been on market for 120 days. Like, it's not moving. They're not getting paid from it just sitting there.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just come in with that honest approach. And yes, many of them said, nope, don't work with wholesalers, click.
Oh, so being a female in the wholesaling game, was there any difficulty with that? Because wholesaling and off-market investment is, for a while, I mean, it's still predominantly male, but did you get any pushback on that, or were you able to just basically like promote, like, I'm a business and people understand business and then they get past it? But was that an issue at all? Because I talk to all of my female investor friends the same, and there are always parts of the process that are super sexist. So I always wonder how much it affected you and how you got past it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has an impact. I walk through the world as a Black woman, and I'm also a younger Black woman. And so I'm usually the youngest person there. I'm usually one of the only women there. I'm usually, in my market, one of the only Black people there. And
Yeah.
so, of course, that has an effect on just how we all experience the world. But I've met people who have been amazing, and I've had some difficult experiences that, I find my own ways to work around. It's funny, I hired a kind of a quote getter for me, who
Hmm.
would just go out and kind of walk through properties with different contractors. And we did a little experiment that we showed on the channel, which I thought was funny, where I walked through the property with a contractor and got a quote. And then, the guy who was working for me, who's a young white guy, walks through the same property with the same contractor, gets a quote, and his quote is like 25% lower, of course, right? And
Right.
sometimes that happens, and I'm sure there's other women who have experienced similar things. I've had people come to the job site and they're looking for the boss, and they ask all the other guys like, "Hey, are you in charge? Are you in charge?" And they come to me last. But I kind of laugh those things off. Like, at the end of the day, I'm in charge, so this is my business. I'm running it how I want to run it, and yeah, I'm going to work with people that I feel want to work with me and that we can do good business together. And so there's people that I just don't go back to because I'm not happy with the way they treat me or treat the
Yeah.
job site. And then there's people who are great that I want to have long-term relationships with.